Hey guys, thanks for joining us as we continue on our showcase of BB Distribution Day 3 here at CMA Industry Week. Time to get back on the car audio train with a brand that we've been, step by step kind of unraveling to you guys through CMA Live, CMA Connected. But now we're going to get in there. I'm talking about Ground Zero. So, Justin, for weeks now, a couple weeks now, we've been kind of peeling the layers off, introducing everybody to what the brand's about. We talked about the history. We had Jacob on, DNA, lineup. What are we going to learn today?
So we're going to get into more specifics in the lineup. Same thing with Jacob again. We have our video from him, which is going to be great. But yeah, just into the more specifics and where exactly the speaker series do fit in the lineup for car audio and for dealers. So this should help with any questions they have or any clarification they need as what goes where, who goes what, right? Mm-hmm. So we get no square peg round hole situations with it. And then also, we're giving away this little badass 6.5-inch little SPL woofer here with the code. So make sure you guys stay tuned on this episode to enter Ground Zero stuff. And then on the following Ground Zero episode on Friday, we're going to get into a little bit of that kind of hi-fi stuff, a little bit of the SQ level and the uranium stuff. So yeah, we're going to have Jacob to just kind of clarify anything that anyone was wondering or where something sits specifically. We love Jacob and he's always a pleasure to be on here. So it's exciting, right?
Yeah, very exciting. Happy to have him here. Let's get our learn on. We'll circle back, get some questions. And this is part one of a 2-part series. The second part will be on Friday. So let's go with Ground Zero and get our
Thanks, Justin.
learn on.
This is Jacob here with Ground Zero USA. I'd like to give you guys a quick rundown of our product line. Where it's going to be short, sweet, and to the point, but we're going to try and cover a lot here in the next 15, 20 minutes. What I'd like to do, start at the bottom, start with our core lines of products, specifically catering to why that line is important and everything along those lines. We'll work our way up, and then we'll get to the real kind of exciting stuff that is why Ground Zero is known in the US and why it's fun. Starting with Iridium. Iridium is honestly our best transition piece into the Ground Zero product line, picking up where head unit manufacturers and some other manufacturers left off or leave off. This is where we really pick up steam. The Iridium line is kind of our standard go-to for factory replacement, mild upgrades, but yet it's still a complete line. So we've got coaxes and components in both a traditional and slim mounted style. We've got a more SQ style versus a more SPL style subwoofer, both available in this line, along with the amplification to run with it. So it's really kind of our standard go-to for, where does Ground Zero come into play? This is what you're used to. This is where we pick up. Now, shifting from here into our Radioactive line. Our Radioactive line is our real kind of shift into SQ, getting away from kind of the idea and the mindset of a universal style component kit. We look more towards an SQ style. So we shift into a 25 millimeter silk dome tweeter in the component sets, aluminum cones, a phenomenal power handling for what they are. Radioactive also brings in, again, 2 phenomenal subwoofer styles. So we've got the D2, which puts a little emphasis on SQ and musicality, versus the XSPL, which does take kind of the brunt of some power and is really a shocking, as it was explained to me, magic sauce type subwoofer. It's phenomenal for what it does, and it's just relatively unbelievable. So the Radioactive line is really impressive for that. So we've got coaxes, we've got components, we've got subwoofers, and we are currently in development of a new amplifier line for this series that's really going to promise to be pretty fun. The Radioactive then transitions into really the subwoofer line that everybody knows and loves from Ground Zero, which is the Hydrogen. So not only does Hydrogen encompass some phenomenal subwoofers, but we've also got some phenomenal Class D amplifiers. The subs, these are the big motor, big throw, super musical style subwoofers that everybody's getting more familiar with Ground Zero in the US. And really, this is where we see the notoriety come from. So, when you're looking at these builds, these subwoofers range from a 6.5 to a 15. The 8 through the 15 are available in dual 1 or dual 2 ohm configurations, so it can be kind of custom tailored to suit your needs. Works really well in vented enclosures. Some of them work phenomenal and sealed. So it's really a super versatile, musical, high output woofer that is absolutely insane and fun to play with. The flip side of that coin, the hydrogen line also does include a great series of amplifiers. So from a 2-channel, a 4, a 5, and 2 mono blocks, ranging from 600 to 1,000 watts. This Class D series of amplifiers is actually phenomenal sounding, great power, and suitable for almost any line of our more budget-friendly, speakers. So kind of uranium and down, these amplifiers are very well suited for. That's the hydrogen line in kind of a nutshell. From there, we transition up to our uranium line. The uranium components, subwoofers, amplifiers, this is our real focus on the shift to an SQ mindset. The new uraniums have been, basically redesigned from the ground up. 2-inch underhung coils, open back AP tuned tweeters in a 28 millimeter format, phenomenal Class AB amplification with heavy emphasis on SQ, adjustable Class AB bias, so that you can kind of get the amplifier to behave a little bit warmer. And this line also includes some phenomenal sounding subwoofers. So, paper cone subs that have phenomenal low end extension, accuracy, detail. I mean, this really is the series that we kind of look at and go, okay, so this is SQ, this is the real transition, and this is where our product line really starts to focus heavily on one thing or the next. The next up from uranium is going to be our nuclear line. Our nuclear line of subs and components kind of do a lot of different things. Nuclear subwoofers, for example, heavy emphasis on SPL, whether it's the X-Max, which is just a super high throw, high power handling subwoofer that's your hair trick / dumb grin style sub, all the way up to, transitioning from that into the X-Flex subwoofer, which is the more musicality, everyday style sub. And then the SPL, which is the more competition-based, higher tuned, a little bit more power handling style sub. So this is where you start to see our emphasis on SPL when it comes to the subwoofers. But then you look at our nuclear line of components, as you can see, that are essentially kind of the greatest example of it does how you tune it style set of components. So it's very forgiving, paper cone, great motor structure for good power handling, great traction down low, phenomenal little set of tweeters. This is a cool line because it does incorporate 2 mid-ranges. One is a small basket, like 2.15 inch style driver that is classified as a full range. So it could be used in a dash location or something along those lines, and then more of a traditional mid that you would use in a standard pillar style install or a door kick style install. So that's a really phenomenal line to play with. Where that kind of leaves off, with its neutrality and its kind of aggressive tendencies is where we shift back into the more SQ side with the Plutonium. The Plutonium line stands on its own when it comes to components, subwoofers, and amplification, because that really is kind of our epitome of a daily driver SQ style build. So this is where we get into ceramic coated aluminum cones, a phenomenal 28 millimeter silk chambered tweeter. We just we've just released or been working with that tweeter, for example. We just completely updated it and made a lot of changes to that. There is a 40 millimeter kind of full range dome mid available in this line that's super fun to play with. Our 10-inch Plutonium SQ woofer, beautiful sounding, phenomenal woofer. You've probably seen a Facebook video interrupted by Tommy's daily driver Camry. His build is an entire Plutonium build that's just absolutely phenomenal sounding. So this is really kind of our go-to SQ style component that can be used in a daily driver, super versatile, but definitely has emphasis on that great recording mindset. You're definitely going to want the amplification to go with it, whether it's the Plutonium 4 and 2 channels, which are, again, phenomenal Class AB adjustable bias amplification that can be a little heavy set on A, more versatile on B, the 2-channel bridge to a sub, anything along those lines. So that's a really phenomenal set of components and amplification there as well. That really does lay the ground and the foundation to our reference line. Our reference line is essentially that 2-channel listening room environment designed for your car. This set of components, this series of amplifiers, this subwoofer are all custom tailored to a specific set of wants and needs. This isn't the standard style, slap the mid bass in the door with proper sound deadening, and you're going to get it to perform as well as it possibly can. No, this is more of a traditional studio monitor style mid bass, mid range, and tweeter combination. So you're going to want a small enclosure built into the door or fabricated into the kick panel area. You're going to want the mid range with the rear wave isolated in a small sealed enclosure. The tweeter is a chambered tweeter, so it kind of lives its life as it is. But this is more of that traditional or that cool, crazy custom fab style set of components and sub, and then the amplification to go with it. I mean, this series of amps, you guys have all seen it. Whether it's our training videos, the reference series of amplifiers has been out for many years in various forms. But the amplifiers themselves are really some of the best sounding amps that I've personally ever heard. They are truly designed, internals wise, power supply wise, to be everything that we say they are. I'm not going to say that they're the best sounding amplifiers because that's somewhat subjective. But what we've done is we've built what we think are the best amplifiers that we possibly can for that SQ style install. And like I said, this is that full custom SQ specific style build that's out there. So when you want the best of the best, this is it. So really, that's kind of the main core of our lineup. Run down as easy as we can possibly make it. So Iridium, entry level, encompasses everything that a standard style, either deck and 4 or simple 2-channel, 3-channel, 4-channel, 5-channel style install could be, with fronts, rears. I mean, it's a real simple, awesome lineup. Going into Radioactive, transition to SQ, going into Uranium is SQ. Nuclear, very fun to play with, very musical. Plutonium, daily driver, phenomenal, reference, epitome. And then, the hydrogen kind of fits in all of those areas when it comes to the subs, when it comes to the amplifiers. It kind of encompasses a lot of that area. So, that gives us a little bit of time to talk about really how Ground Zero got their name currently in the U.S. and what is really supporting us in our endeavor to grow the core car audio line, and that is our competition series. The competition series is a ground-up, car-specific series of pro audio, high-efficiency based drivers. So I'm not going to say they're pro drivers. They have design caliber and quality of pro drivers, but they are really designed for a car. What we've seen in the US is the adaptation into the power sports market for this. So you guys have all seen those crazy Harleys with 20, 25,000 watts RMS of power on them, and the drivers to keep up with that power. The competition series is really that, ranging from silk dome and compression style tweeters to, we've got a couple of horns that are pretty phenomenal. We've got a great series of coaxes that were just released, kick woofers, mid-range drivers. So really, this line does encompass everything you could possibly need from a get loud set of components, whether it's you're building a convertible, you're building a car, you're building a karaoke style build, or you're building a power sports build with like a Harley or a side-by-side where you don't have an environment that you can sound deaden, you can't eliminate wind noise, you can't do any of those things. So that's where our competition line really thrives. And that is, the adaptation of that specific series of speakers are really what has made us more and more of a, I don't want to say household name, but growing brand that is starting to gain recognition in all aspects of what we do. So that's that. If anything else pops up, feel free to reach out to the powers that be and ask the questions, and we're more than happy to help out. Back to you guys.
There you have it. And you know what? We're not going to waste any time. We'll bring the man in himself. What's going on, Jacob?
I really hate watching myself on film. I'm not.
It's the worst, hey? Like, it's the worst.
God, it's horrible, man.
Tell you what.
Ground Zero.
Yeah, grounds. When we got our learn on, I get it. Now I understand, where everything sits in the entire range, right? And I'm happy that you did spend some time on that upper echelon stuff because that's a lot of stuff that when you YouTube or you go on social media, there's some really cool builds of that higher end stuff, starting from the Plutonium and up. But I'm gonna give you the floor, Justin. I know there's a couple things you want to drive home.
Yeah. So I mean, one thing that we want to kind of keep hammering is the pricing structure when you buy ground zero doesn't really make sense. When you look at what you're getting, or I should say, when you hear what you're getting for what you pay for, it kind of doesn't really correspond with what you'd think, right? Their volume-based market is not, I would say, equivalent to most volume-based markets when it comes to the sound quality or the delivery that ground zero has. Plus, they also have this subwoofer called the Germinator, which is super cool.
It's Dominator.
It's a 33-inch woofer, which is
what?
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
Badass.
Yeah, it's badass. But
it's actually a
brand itself. The brand itself is just so stable and so well performing. It's really good. Jacob, we could just touch a little bit on the hydrogen amplifiers because, for me, that 5-channel is a super critical piece in the way that it performs, in the way that it sounds. And it's definitely, I would say, I don't necessarily want to say underrated in power, but I want to say underrated in performance, if that makes sense, when you think of that in terms of the line.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that really strikes me about that hydrogen series of the mini amplifiers is the effort that was put into really building something that sounds good, that is a heck of a lot of value for your money. And when I say that, I mean, it's not that it's like you just pointed out, it's not that it's underrated. I mean, it is what it is when it comes to power. But the way that it displays that power, the way that it utilizes it, really makes it sound like a far different amplifier than what you would expect a small 4-channel to be, in comparison to others, or a 5-channel with, not a ton of power on the 5th channel and the rest of the amp, but just when you put it in a car and you fire it up for the first time, you kind of go, oh, well, that's far more impressive than I thought I was getting. And that whole lineup is kind of that way for me when it comes to the hydrogen mini amps. And we've done some things to try and make them better sounding, to make them kind of stand out above similarly built or appearance wise or designed amplifiers. And that is, if you notice, the Mini 4 now has an SQ Plus emblem. And what that is that amp's been kind of modified a bit to help put emphasis on sound quality and output. So really, it's not just that it's a good sounding amplifier. It's actually been kind of reworked versus its previous versions to be able to say, hey, we saw some room for improvement, and we had somebody come through and make it far better than it possibly was, or than it ever was in the past. So that mini line is super fun for what it is. And all of our displays have it. I've got 2 of them sitting over here on our prototype display that I use to run pretty much everything, from Iridium to Plutonium. I've heard on these amplifiers, and they're impressive.
So let's cut to the chase, Justin. This is product. We are ready to go, ready to ship, display boards, everything, like full system go.
Yeah, it's part of the promotions. Head on over to the BB Distribution Facebook page. Get your hands in deep with Ground Zero for sure. We got a couple display promotions to get those boards in your store. I had a dealer check one out the other day, just absolutely fell in love with it. It just made sense for him in his store. We got 2 levels depending on how far you want to go. If you want to walk before you run, or if you just want to dive in deep. We can facilitate that. Make sure you guys enter the code for, tuning in on this episode. Like I said, I'm going to give away this little monster 6.5 preloaded right
Look
here.
at that thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How much power is that?
I don't remember.
Any idea? I mean, it's got to be.
It's like 350 or 4 RMS.
There you go.
Yeah.
A go-to for us on that is a Hydrogen Mini 1. A lot of guys are utilizing that combination for that sub. And it's absolutely wicked.
It looks cool. It looks retro. I love the grill on top. That's wicked. I gotta throw this up, Justin, real quick here. There it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Look at that. everything you need to know, screen capture, that's where it is. There's a BB party going down Friday. Tech Tracks, make sure you tune in for that. We're going to have winners. And
all our giveaways and
yes,
a lot of cool things for a lot of cool people to win. It's going to be fun, right? That's what this is. This whole day, this whole event, it's all fun. That's what we want.
Fun.
Exciting,
and
fun.
Get your order on and get your learn on. Those two things.
Yeah.
Learn and order. Learn, then order. Learn first, then order. That's how that works.
Yeah.
Jacob,
absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us. Really looking forward to our Friday session, though, because I think finally we're going to be able to actually dialogue and really pick your brain a little bit more.
Well, and on top of it, we're going to cover some things that we didn't talk about today. So, if
Great.
you're DSP and some other stuff, tune in. And
yes, of course we are.
Here's
I'm going to take an apple apart.
All right, we'll see you on Friday, Jacob.
Later, guys.
Take care.
See you later, man.
Let's wrap it up, Justin. Ground Zero, part 1 of 2.
Yep.
Looks promising. If you guys are interested, let BB Distribution know. They're ready for business and ready to ship.
For sure, man. Get a hold of us and ride the lightning.
Ride that lightning. See you on the other side, Justin. All right, there you have it. Ground Zero. It's part 1 of 2 presentations for BB Distribution this week at CMA Industry Week. The other one is coming to you on Friday. I'm your host, Ben Wu. We'll see you on the next one. Till next time, we connect.